welcome, welcome. Today is a bit different than usual. We're doing another interview, and we are accompanied by Trillian, who is our regular now on the channel. And Trillian is, as you know, maker of the environment exporter, and we have Zazeed accompanying us too, who is known particularly for his Boss Locked series on YouTube, which has just like exploded recently. So why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, Zazeed?
So I'm Zayzed. I obviously do the Boss Lock series that I started up about 2 months ago or something like that. I don't know. Basically, the premise of my series is I try and go through the game with only getting my XP from bosses, their loot, and the content around them. But that's the overall premise of it, and that's what I do.
Now you exploded. Like you said, you started 2 months ago, but like your videos have just been insane in regards to like viewership and all that. What do you think contributed to that?
I think the big thing about RuneScape is people obviously have a lot of time to watch videos when they play. So I think the big thing about RuneScape is if you want to take off with your videos, you need to have a good premise that draws people in. So my idea was obviously Boss Locked. A lot of people come into that thinking it's impossible, but with the way I've done it, it actually makes it more possible. So when people come in and see that it is possible, then they're like, oh shit. So that's why I got a lot of views from that, I reckon. But with the exploding, I think it was because how I edit around my videos is the best way to put why I keep people there. So it's easy to draw them in, but it's hard to keep them there. So I think if you have good enough editing or like some video structure, or you have a thorough plan, it helps a lot.
Yeah, that idea of like the concept to draw people in, that's why I started watching the series. I saw it and I went, hang on a second, you can't just do a boss locked Iron Man. And then the first thing you are is in the fight caves. I was like, how does this happen?
Yeah, there's been a lot of funny things I've discovered from that, like how it used to actually be heavily botted to actually just go straight into the fight caves to train. I had no idea before this, but thought I was one of the few that would actually do that straight away. But yeah, apparently it was botted too. Really?
It was like one of the early places to train.
Yeah, they used to bot in there because then people wouldn't see him as often, so they wouldn't be able to get reported.
That's cool. I'd never have thought of that. People that like develop bot ideas for that are just insane of how they try to hide it and some of the obscure stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
So like when it comes to like making content, what would you say your process is for making a video?
A lot of my process, because I like to like dub over my content in a way. So I barely, in my first few episodes, I barely have any like live audio. A lot of the time I only have live audio is when I actually get a drop or something like that, because it's just the way I like to record, because I'll sit in Discord and talk to people or whatever like that when I'm actually playing. So when I'm playing, I always have my OBS set up as running the, what's the thing called? So it just already records all the time, and then I can just press a button and it replays the last 12 seconds and records that automatically.
Oh, that's really cool.
So then I never miss like a drop. I don't know why a lot of other people actually don't have it, because you always see a lot of YouTubers always miss their levels. But if they have that, then all you have to just press is like, I have it set up as F12 and it records the last like 20 seconds or something. And then I just press record at the same time. So it takes off from the replay and then just the actual recording. So I record my content and then I have a notepad up at the same time. And I just write down what happens in that clip and how I'm going to say it for when I actually record. And then all the way at the end of the, like when I'm completely done with the video, I will then read off my entire script, and then I'll cut down my voice and then add my clips to it after that, because they should all be in order because of how I've written it out in my note.
Oh, that's a really smart way of doing it, because that's one thing I've always found like really challenging. Like when I've made stuff is like I always do a voiceover afterwards.
Yeah.
And I find whenever I've gotten like a drop or something that's rare, and if I'm doing the voiceover afterwards, it never sounds natural. I'm always like, wow, what a sick drop that is. Never saw that coming. I'm just like, yeah, no, how do people do that? And if I'm just recording, like talking over and dubbing while I play, I just feel like a bit weird just talking to myself playing RuneScape.
Or you say way too much shit. You don't need to say it all. Yeah. You just go on for 3 minutes and you're like, it could be a 10-second clip.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that's kind of really awkward. I don't know. Have you had much experience with recording stuff while playing, Trillian?
Me myself, no, not really. I mean, I'm not really a YouTuber by default, but like I remember like when I was like playing Call of Duty and stuff back in the day, and I'd use OBS. It was kind of almost a flip side where you'd be like that live recording is all you would do, but I think it's really cool with RuneScape how you can just dub over 90% of your content, because it makes for you know, you can target your audience a lot better with what you want to say and how you want to say it. But yeah, I need to look into that whole 12-second function, because as you said, you see all these YouTubers are like, oh, I missed 99 fire making, and you're like, how?
Yep.
But yeah, no, so I might have to play around with it for sure.
So like, when I say like as well, like when we're talking about more about like your process of making a video, do you go in there and say, okay, I'm going to create an episode, I'm going to start the episode with this, and then I'm going to record this gameplay and this gameplay and this gameplay, or you just go, I'm gonna play my Lockdown Man, and then I'm gonna stick it all together?
Yeah, so when I go in, I have an idea of where I'm going to end it. So I go in with an ending in mind. So it's basically the progress of me working towards that is how my episode ends up. So since I like to get a new boss in every episode, it's always good to end it on a new boss. And because at the start of my account, I've planned out a whole heap of it. So I've planned out basically where I need to get and what I need to get before I move on to the next boss. So when I'm doing my episode, if I pick a finishing point, then I know everything that's going to happen already to get up to that point. I do know the process that has to go into getting to different things. So that's sort of where I plan my episodes, and I sort of know how long they'll be by the time I plan to get to where they are.
Cool. I suppose that makes for a good effect too, especially around like storytelling, when we have like this workup that builds up over time, where it's you have the next boss, people go, well, I want to see what happens next boss. There's no way you can take on that boss next time.
Yeah.
But it's like a really nice feel to it.
And because I always go for the weird drops on boss tables, like just something that you wouldn't probably think about, or you have to look into the account as much as me to kind of work out the progression system that I want to go for. So it still keeps it interesting, because otherwise people aren't going to research for as long as I did on this account. Probably there might be some, but there's a lot of different ways and weird ways I have to go about things, and there's like some quests still later on that are only possible because of just like really small, minute little things that happen. So I think it's pretty fun working your way through the game with like your own way that no one else knows where the hell you're going to take it. So I think that's what makes it a bit more unique as well.
I think like coming from a person who's watched your series, also the intricate ways that you have to do things, and these weird little, you know, methods that you have to come up with this particular account. I think honestly, as I said, as a viewer, I think that's honestly what makes up the meat of the entertainment as well, is like being like, oh shit, that's really cool. Like, you know, almost learning something along the way as well.
I always try to explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it as well, because I feel it makes a better like experience for anyone who's watching. Because obviously a lot of people haven't done some of this like random stuff that I'm doing in the game or anything like that. Like a heap of people didn't know about that Chaos Elemental safe spot and everything else like that. So when I explain anything, I like to do it like that. That's why I always have those like blurred section where I explain the drops and what I want from it and what it will do for me, is the best way to put it. So then it gives everyone a good idea of what I need to do. So
sure. And with the series, was there anything in particular that inspired you to do this concept, like in terms of another YouTuber's series, for example, or is this just a case of you were thinking about something that would be unique and that's how it came along?
I was thinking about something that would be unique. I do have a lot of different sort of elements from different other YouTube like series. So like with my rules, it's sort of like Slayer Drop Locked by Venica. I'm not sure if you've seen that one, but my rule set's kind of similar, but it's a little bit more extreme, which makes sense because obviously he could train his skills outside of Slayer if he had a tool, so he could just go chop a tree, but he couldn't keep any of the loot. He would drop it. But since bosses are more broad than Slayer, I can actually just train basically all of my skills at bosses except for Slayer and mining. They're the only ones I can't train at a boss. I can basically train everything else, so I just found it better to make it only XP from bosses, and I think it's more exciting that way, because then I can't just be like, oh yeah, I want to chop a tree for 50 hours and whatever.
Yeah, a lot more restrictive.
Yeah.
Which again makes for more entertainment.
Yeah. I think having to get my tools myself and not being able to like buy anything from shops makes it better as well, because then I can get random drops like a fishing rod from raids and everything like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
I'll hand it back to you, Skull.
Oh, there's no handover needed. It's funny that, like, you know, when we talk about like raising the stakes like more and more of series, like what I've noticed pretty much since Swampletics, that series, like RuneScape series, have slowly raised the stakes over and over and over again. When's it gonna stop? What's gonna be the pinnacle?
I always think that we've reached it. Like, I always think surely there's like no more ideas, but there always is. There's obviously the chunk locked and the extreme and supreme and everything else like that. There'll always be new ideas. They'll start getting more similar now because obviously all the areas have basically got some content creator who's done them or doing them right now. And then you've got a lot of different other sort of locked ideas, but there always is going to be ideas for series and stuff. I think it's more about how you'll present them, if they're going to be a good series or not, depending on like the idea, because you can have an idea and not execute it well at all, but it just won't work out. Because there's been multiple other people who have done like Slayer Locked and everything else like that, but it never took off until Venica and everything, just because of the presentation. And
well, the most interesting one of like those kind of locked series, like especially of how it's presented, is Collection Log Locked. They've all been presented in a different manner, and it's a really competitive idea for a series because there's a lot of people doing it. Yeah,
I feel like there's also a lot of series where people become an Ultimate Iron Man just because of that's like the thing for like region locked or whatever, when it doesn't really need it for the account. Like if I made my account an Ultimate Iron Man, it would just be so horrible. It'd be so much worse than what it is.
Yeah.
I actually think for a series, in hindsight, I think an Ultimate Iron Man is actually really good for a series.
Yeah, no, it is.
Because not because like, oh, you're dropping stuff and things like that, but the viewer can immediately see everything your character has unlocked and currently on them.
Yeah.
They don't have to think about, oh, but he has like Verax in the bank, doesn't he? There's nothing like that. You just go, he's wearing Guffins. He's got Guffins. I know what's going on. He's got that in his inventory. I know what is going on. If he loses that, he's screwed. Better not die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can also get a little bit more convoluted too when you get stash units and everything like that too.
Yeah, at that stage it starts to get complex. I remember even when watching Swampletics, I was like, there was a couple of stages where he had some stuff in the costume cupboard, I think, or something like that, in the plane at home. And I went, where did he get that from? He can't have a bank. Is this actually not an Ultimate Iron Man? And I think that clarity to the viewer is really important. And that's one thing that stands out with your editing too. Your clarity for the viewer, and it's so clear to understand just what is going on and your restrictions. It's really good.
Yeah, I've made videos before, like on another channel, and I went back and rewatched them, and I wrote a note of everything that I wanted to change that I thought was just absolutely horrible about them. So this was like, basically I made this series just off everything that I've changed on previous videos that I've made, because like, fuck, those videos were just horrible before this. Like, everyone's like, oh, your editing was great or whatever, but like those videos were horrible. The first episode took me like 15, 20 hours or so to edit because I had to learn how to do so much. I had no idea how to blur videos. I had no idea how to like, I didn't fade out any, like know how to do fading out of any graphics or like anything like that. So the first episode was like a major like learning curve, but then after that it got a whole heap better.
Flashy editing is a hard thing. I find for me, like I've done a few like little series, nothing big or nothing that has a huge investment. But like I'm a high school teacher for video editing, so that's like, for me, the idea when I made my first series was I just want to really practice my editing and see how over the top a RuneScape video you can make. And that's kind of what led me into Blender as well. I was like, well, how over the top can we actually go with editing?
Is it a lot easier to make a RuneScape Blender than anything else because obviously it's low polygon, or is it harder?
I feel like, I'll jump. I feel like there's a bit of leniency in terms of what you can get away with and what you can hide, because let's not beat around the bush here. Like RuneScape's, like, you know, without the HD plugin and everything, RuneScape's graphics are pretty shit. But so you can get away with a lot of things, in my opinion.
I think like the easiest way to explain it is I often get asked, how do you make ground? The easiest, and this was what makes RuneScape such a good thing for blenders. I say, you get a plane, stretch it out, change the color. Whereas if that was, say, any other game, say you want to make something for Monster Hunter World, I'm just using that as an example. You'd say, all right, so you need to get a plane, you need to put grass on the plane, you need to put flowers on the plane, you need to put trees on the plane, you need to make sure the plane also has a texture, and then you need to curve the plane and put all stuff with RuneScape, just make it flat, chuck a color on it. It's good to go. And then some guy like Trillian comes along and builds a landscape exporter. But on the note of editing, like I've spoken with a lot of content creators because like I do, animations and thumbnails for them. And one of the things I always find interesting when I speak to people is just finding that balance between editing and recording, because there's a huge amount of hours that goes into editing. You're sifting through hours of footage. There's a huge amount of time that goes into recording and setting it up, and then editing as well. And then it's a massive amount that goes into each video.
Yeah.
How do you manage it?
The way I do it is I record everything on my account and I don't edit anything while I'm playing. Obviously, because I don't really have AFK time on my account because of the way it's made, so I can't really do much AFK. So I get all my clips that I'll need for the video, and I want to know where I finish it, and then I'll just basically not play RuneScape for the next like 2 days or so and just edit it, because it's gotten a lot quicker because of the way I do it. How I said before, how I write up the script and then talk, and then all my clips are in order, because when I record a clip, I write it on the notepad at the same time, so I can just drag in order and then just cut down to whatever I voice over. So.
And you just is all your recordings with the 12-second buffer, or do you ever just let it run?
I only ever use a 12-second buffer when I have to do like a boss to get a drop. So I won't record when I'm killing a boss and like have like a 2-hour recording. They'll only be about 4 minutes long, so I don't have to sift through like a 2-hour long footage and look for the audio spikes to cut in there or anything.
I was watching this video recently just on the note of like cuts between, and it was one of those clickbait videos. It was awful. I hate these videos, but it was one of those clickbait videos where a guy says, "Want to make YouTube videos? Do this." And it has that facial expression. I was like, okay, just want to listen to something in the background. I'll watch this. And it actually had one thing that I actually thought was kind of handy. So I took away something from the video. So it can't have been that bad. But it was this tool. And what the tool does is it cuts down pauses in between speech. So you chuck in your audio file.
Yeah.
And it just cuts them out. So you have less time. That's how like a lot of those more, I guess you could say, super snappy, hyper clickbaity videos tend to do their audio cutting. I found it really interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of like audio cutting and stuff, one sec. There is a thing called Descript, but basically it's an AI, so it can automatically cut out certain words. Like you can label like cut out ums and everything like that, so it'll automatically cut that out of your footage. It also transcribes. It also transcribes every single thing you say in your video into text form. So you've got your video and you've got your text form to the left. So you can then delete the text and it deletes that part out of the video straight away. So that makes it very easy. And you can also type in the text part and it mixes and matches your voice and it adds that to the actual audio.
That's actually insane, because I spend ages going through with my audio and I cut out every and sound like that. And like, that's always the biggest pain for me, as I sit there listening for hours to every single breath and everything. It's just like, oh God. Do you have anything else you'd like to ask, Trillian?
No, I think I'm good. I'm really excited to see your next episode.
Soon. I actually got a sponsor for the new episode, so I have to wait back to hear from them till I can actually upload it, but it's completely done.
Oh, congratulations.
So, awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Is it Raid Shadow Legends?
Yes. Yeah.
It actually is?
Yeah, it is.
Awesome.
But yeah. I'm going to obviously put timestamps in so people can see when the stuff is on the actual like timeline of the video. I think that makes it a lot better for people. Hopefully from that I can make better content and stuff. I actually I hired my friend for this episode because I go away today. Actually, I leave to go to Western Australia today, so I won't be able to upload it myself, and they'll have to get back to me today with something else to add. So I've like hired him to help me actually edit it. So he has the video right now for when it actually has to go up. He has to just change anything if they want anything changed and stuff like that. So it kind of worked out nice, at least.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I've been in situations like that too, and I'm doing a huge project for Sir Pugger right now, and often I'll like sub hire people for things that I could perfectly do myself, but it's like it's just that quality of life, I guess.
Yeah. I just like hired him just to make the entire like sponsored video for it, just because I was like, I don't have time, I have to edit this, and it's like I wasn't even sure if I was even going to be able to, because I said before how I get my endpoint in mind, I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to reach it this time, because I was just not getting a drop that I needed. I was just not getting it. I went 4 times dry on it, and it was like added like 20 something hours to what I had to do, because I had to kill it like 30 times and it took me so long. So that's why. And
so you've got him editing like the actual like sponsor ad part of the video?
Yeah, I edited the rest while I was doing it. So the video is like 32 minutes long or something.
So when a sponsor contacts you, this is one thing I've always found interesting. Do they say like when specifically they want the sponsor segment to be? Like it has to be in the first 30 seconds, just after the 30 seconds, or at the very end?
Yep. So they said that it has to be within the first 5 minutes of the video, and it has to be at least after 45 seconds into the video. So I have to do it at least 45 seconds like into the video, and it has to be before 2 minutes.
And one thing I've always found interesting with sponsor segments, do they have a specific script you got to go through, and like specific opinions? Like if you can't say, I completely understand. But they're like, you have to say this feature is really good.
Yeah. So basically they give you a talking point script. Well, they give you a brief. It has a fuck ton of words in it. So it would be so long if I was to read out that entire thing without changing it. But they do let you change it around to say what you want and everything like that. And I actually played the game so I could actually learn like what it was actually like before I even actually did the sponsor for it. So I sort of know what it was talking about a little bit more from it. So at least that kind of helped me make it. But yeah, they give you a brief on stuff you can say so you can just kind of do whatever you want with it. And then you just send it back to them as a draft, and they'll say if you need to add anything or not. Just need to hear back from them. But with the time zones, it kind of sucks. I'll probably hear back from them like in another 7 hours from now or something.
Yeah,
that's always the way it is.
Yeah.
Being a Kiwi myself, it's like just as bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I thought you'd be great for the show today. I thought, oh, you're an Australian too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if RuneScape made the same effort for the advertisements as Raid Shadow Legends?
I always get a old school RuneScape ad when I'm on another website, like as like a little bumper ad down the bottom. I always get that for some reason. I'm like, I fucking play it nonstop. Like,
I'm addicted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you've got your cookies and everything on me, but it's like I literally play it so much. I go to the website constantly. Like, wouldn't you just think about not showing it to me? But oh well.
I get that too, but it's always like on my work computer, which has nothing RuneScape related. Like when I'm at work, I'll be like, all right, so students, here's a little thing we're showing, and down the side it'll be like, play old school RuneScape. And what I don't get is like, surely no one clicks on banner ads anymore. Surely there's no one
because everyone's like, scam.
Yeah, everyone's like, no, there's no singles in my area. I know that.
I've tried this before.
Surely it's not a successful marketing thing. I just don't. But if they run it, it might be. But they do make some dumb decisions sometimes, so who knows, honestly.
If they were to do I feel like the most successful campaign would be like a Raid Shadow Legends and be like, hey, if you sign up now, you get a free bond.
Well, they actually did do some sponsorship with the Group Iron Man release, because they did those sponsored content creators that were outside of RuneScape.
I think, they do the Twitch like 14-day trials and stuff as well sometimes, but
yeah,
I think the problem is with that. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it's a catch a crow kind of thing, because if you offer free membership, bots are just gonna be like ×5.
Yep.
Yeah, it sucks because it shouldn't be like that. But
I was watching Pugger's video yesterday, and he was talking about like bots that have a chat bot built in.
Yeah.
At what stage are they the same as just a player?
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line when it's that advanced?
Yeah, if you can actually like talk back to it and stuff, you'd be very confused, especially with not many people talking anymore. It might be just like a simple hey, and that would be the end of the conversation. If they answer back, you'd be like, oh, not a bot.
Yeah, it's more human than most of the players.
Just coming across like a cow patch and you see them two just talking to each other, just like two bots. You'd be like, wow,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, what if two bots could get locked into a conversation and it just goes on about how they like to read books for like 48 hours straight?
Yeah.
We need the maker of the Steven bots to start the Steven conversation bots, and they're just around everywhere having conversations non-stop.
Yeah, I love the Steven bots. I think that's a really funny thing to have in the game. I think it's really cool.
I think they're awesome, but also at the same time, I think they're like a plague. There's so many of them now.
There
like
is.
the free-to-play worlds.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There is a lot, but I find it pretty funny at least, so that's good.
I always love
I'm pretty sure even Jagex has just been like, you know what, we're not even going to bother banning these. It's too wholesome.
I love watching him get lured over and over and over again. Like, that was the highlight. When I was doing my grind at the Dark Wizards, I know, wow, such a heavy grind. Wow, not much. Just watching people in free-to-play lure just Steven bots constantly. It was happening all day, just straight to the Dark Wizards, let them die, and they come back.
Yeah, I think a YouTuber actually like made like a money-making method from Steven bots. That's awesome.
There's just some funny things that happen in this game compared to other games. Some games will just never have some of the level of stuff that RuneScape's ever had.
I honestly think it's why it's one of the best MMOs. Like, when you compare it to other stuff, like, you can talk about what you did in RuneScape.
Yeah.
You can say, oh man, I was playing this game the other day, it's called RuneScape. You heard of the guy? Goes, nah, I never heard of that game. Oh no, it was so sick, right? There's this guy that's programmed these bots called Steven bots. So I just lured them into the wilderness and killed them one after the other. It's a cool feature of RuneScape, the actual storytelling.
I get a lot of interactions in game now with people as well, obviously because they recognize that I've made content and stuff like that. So that's made it a lot funner and like more storytelling wise for me when I talk to someone about it. I find it funny when I ever say like people recognize me in game. They're like, wow, that's weird.
Yeah,
that must be a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Weren't you saying you were getting that recently, Trillion? People
I mean, yeah, I have a couple of people that, I don't know, I feel like I have a fairly unique name, and that's literally all that accredits to it. But I get a couple of people being like, oh, Trillion, I've seen you. And it's like, yeah, it's a really weird feeling because it's not like how you'd think it would be. Sometimes you're almost creeped out by it.
It can come out of nowhere all the time. Since I've only made a couple videos, people don't 100% know me. They're like, are you that guy that made content? And I'm like, yes.
You gotta like reassure them that you are you.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I get that at the time. I get it all the time. Like, oh, are you the person that does Puggers like design? I'm like, yes.
No one recognizes Wayne Kerr one. It's too incognito as a username.
It's a name you definitely see at Wintertot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a toxic name. Well, that brings us to a close for our stream today, I think. Thank you so much for joining us, Trillion and Zayzed. Zayzed, where can people find you?
On YouTube, at the same name you'll see on screen, just search up Zayzed or Boss Locked. I'm sure I'll be there.
And Trillion?
Twitter.com/Trillion Studios.
And I can be found here. Or if you YouTube the Skulls, Dark Souls, the Skulls Shuffle will come up, then me. Cool. I'm pretty sure. It might have changed now. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It's been cool.
Thanks for having me here.
All right, it's nice meeting you, Zazeed. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. It's been amazing. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one.